Hey YouTube, Alex Conley here today with another video. Today's video, I want to talk about some of the advantages of Tennessee, some of the advantages of living in the state of Tennessee in the United States. And the first and most obvious advantage that I notice about living in Tennessee is that there is a relatively low cost of living in Tennessee. Compared to many other places, Tennessee is actually not so expensive. Now, some people might disagree with this when it comes to Nashville, but even Nashville is objectively cheaper than California or New York, Chicago, places like this. Um, and if you get outside of the hip or the popular areas, certain costs definitely go down. Things like rent and food and gasoline. Um, Aside from the most obvious things as far as cost of various goods, Tennessee has relatively low taxes, so they have no state income tax. And actually, in Tennessee, the way they tax people is they tax people based on consumption. So typically in Tennessee, the more you consume, the more you're going to pay in tax. So the property taxes are high. So if you own a large or expensive home, you're going to pay a higher property tax. Um, what else? If you purchase a lot of goods, well, the sales tax is close to 10%, so you will pay a premium when it comes to sales tax. However, if you are living a pretty low cost, low key way of life, you don't consume as much, you will pay lower taxes than, say, places like California, where there's a sort of a base level of taxation that's basically hard to avoid. Um, so what else? So Tennessee, I think, has is around number 15 in terms of populations of various states. So it's not as crowded as, say, like a New York or a California or a Florida or a Texas. It's definitely a step below that. It's not the least populous state. Obviously, at number 15, it's in the upper third of population as far as states is concerned, but it's not going to feel as busy as like a say like a Chicago or like in Atlanta, um, or like a Miami, for example. Apologize for the mix up. I'm just trying to get my tripod situated there. What else? Something that some people um, really get tired of living. I'm going to pick on California a little bit just because that's another state that I have experience living in. But some people say, well, I wouldn't want to live in California because it's the same weather year round. Much of California has fairly mild weather that stays, in a certain range. Most of California doesn't really get below 40 very much, and it doesn't really seem to get above 80 very much. Now, of course, this is depends on where you go. The weather is more mild near the coast, but uh, generally speaking, Tennessee has four seasons. Tennessee has a fairly distinct summer, a fairly distinct fall, distinct winter, and spring. And these different times of year have different weather patterns, different temperature fluctuations. Um, there's a sense of change. If you wait 3 months, you're gonna have a different kind of experience. So next, something we just talked about. There's four distinct seasons in Tennessee. Tennessee definitely has milder winters in the Midwest. So if you're coming from like a Chicago or a Milwaukee or a Minneapolis, you're going to notice that the winters in Tennessee are not nearly as rough. It's going to snow much less frequently. The temperatures are not going to get nearly as cold. There are sometimes cold snaps. A few years ago on New Year's, it got down to I think 3 degrees or -3 degrees. Anyway, it was really cold. These types of things aren't nearly as prevalent as, say, in a Minnesota or North Dakota, places like Fargo. Um, so keep that in mind. If you're looking to get away from winters where you have to make sure that you've got snow tires, and you've got you know tons and tons of winter clothing, and you're making sure to, say, drip water so your pipes don't freeze. These types of things are much more moderate in Tennessee. It doesn't mean they're a non-issue. You definitely need to keep winter changes in mind, but it's not going to be this same experience as people in, say, Chicago have. Um, Kind of moving on. Uh, Another advantage, kind of uncommon, that people don't necessarily think about when it comes to Tennessee is a lot of outdoor activities. So Tennessee has a variety of places throughout the state where a person can get out in the woods and go hiking, They can explore various natural bodies of water, the Tennessee River, places like the Mississippi River. These types of places, it might be hard to find area to swim, but boating is really popular here. You'll find that if you come to Tennessee, boating is very popular, fishing is really popular, hunting is really popular. People, you might think, oh, it gets really hot, it's sweaty and mosquitoes. People overcome that. People in Tennessee are not held back by heat or cold or inclement weather. There's a certain toughness that they're willing to move through past these things and get out and enjoy the outdoors in the state of Tennessee. What else? Kind of a final another advantage of Tennessee. I find that people are relatively down to earth here. There's certain neighborhoods in Nashville that are an exemption from this, that are kind of, people are a bit rude, uppity, snarky. They may look at their wealth as sort of a reason to look down on others, but that's pretty rare, and that's limited to a few neighborhoods in Nashville. A lot of Tennessee is still has a strong blue collar presence. You're going to find a lot of people that are working class people that may not live this fancy lifestyle or frivolous lifestyle, may not be able to relate to you on a lot of travel or fancy restaurants, things like that, but people will have honest conversations with you, and there's a substantial number of people here that I don't know, just you can see that they come from a different background, but they're still looking for that common ground. So a final point, Tennessee recently implemented free college tuition, from my understanding. Of course, it's not free, it is paid for by taxpayers, but essentially I believe if you haven't used any of the credits or done any college by the age of 25, they're willing to allow you to attend community college. As long as you keep your grades up and meet the requirements, they will essentially the state will subsidize your tuition. And this is a really big advantage. The state's trying to address some challenges related to education. This is one of the things they're doing. So definitely keep in mind, in-state tuition in Tennessee is very reasonable compared to many other states. And so if you're looking to go to a college and you're not picky, you're not looking for a top 10 type college, Tennessee may be a good option for you. Consider that even if you have to pay out-of-state tuition, that cost of living here being moderate, even if you were to pay a higher tuition rate here, you may pay less in rent, food, transportation, these types of costs in the long run. So actually Tennessee is really popular for college students. If you're in Memphis, there's University of Memphis. Nashville has Belmont, Vanderbilt, TSU, Aquinas, Lipscomb. There's also some technical schools for tradespeople. There are art schools. There's, I think, at least one culinary school. So it's not just one type of thing. I know that healthcare dominates Middle Tennessee, but there's a variety of different educational paths that you can take. And if you don't necessarily feel like you want to pursue education, keep in mind that because cost of living here is moderate, you can just get a job. And if you're willing to live frugally, over the course of the long run, if you're willing to budget, it should be a place where you can get ahead. I feel like there's certain parts of the country or the world, perhaps even most of the country or the world, where people do feel limited based on their socioeconomic background. But here it seems like there's this different kind of feeling where the average guy can still get ahead. Some people will hate me for making this and say, oh, don't tell people about the good things about Tennessee, but I am going to make a video about my critiques of Tennessee, but I want to give a balanced perspective and kind of let people know it's not just good or bad, but actually if they're educated, they'll know what kind of decision makes most sense for them. So anyway, I was born here in Nashville. I've lived here most of my life, about probably like 80% of my life, and I think it's a fantastic place to live. I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think everybody will enjoy it, but I certainly think that those people that are interested in contributing to making Nashville a better place, I welcome those people. And anyway, Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Conley. If you like this video, if you like this content, if you have any tips or suggestions, let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.